Wow, that was a great play.
Yeah, it really made me think about the Constitution in a new way.
For real. It's ironic, but it's easy to take the Constitution for granted when you're living in America. This gave us a lot of perspective. I'm still thinking about the early part of the play when she discussed Reconstruction. She said something like, the 14th Amendment was a huge force in the civil rights movement. It facilitated the desegregation of schools and trains and hospitals, though that took almost 100 years. And then she said, I want to emphasize that these amendments guaranteed equal rights only to men. No women were given these rights, and the question of Native American rights never even came up. Even Lincoln was trapped in a penumbra on that one.
That part resonated with me too. It reminded me about the first time I learned about the 19th Amendment, and I remember being so shocked that it was such a recent thing that women had won the right to vote. And even then, it was only for white women. I feel like so many groups are denied equal rights for a lot of American history, and the Constitution doesn't always protect the people that it's meant to.
I felt that. I thought the same thing when she was talking about immigration. She said one tricky thing about this clause is it leaves it up to the whims of lawmakers to decide who they think is a good immigrant or a bad immigrant. I liked Heidi's idea of the Constitution as a penumbra. I think this quote represents that confusing area between what the Constitution says and how it's actually enacted.
She did a great job demonstrating the Constitution's inconsistency. Those shadowy areas let a lot of people fall through the cracks. Like when she talked about the Jessica Gonzalez case and said that Scalia's court, quote, gutted the Violence Against Women Act by ruling that the police did not have a constitutional duty to protect Jessica Gonzalez and her children. When people rely on a system and it routinely fails them, they start to lose faith in that system.
This is something that I think our country has a lot of problems with. The Constitution grants power to the people to govern themselves, and that's why we can have a democracy. But we also grant power to the police to uphold the law and protect us. The Constitution can be used to protect people who don't necessarily deserve protection, like the negligent police rather than Jessica Gonzalez.
I think the penumbra of the Constitution also allows some good work to be done because it isn't explicitly stated. Like when Heidi's talking about Roe v. Wade, she says, quote, it's a case that's all about penumbras. With the help of Justice William O. Douglas's beautiful penumbra metaphor, Justice Harry Blackmun used the Ninth Amendment to find the right to privacy in the 14th Amendment, and he declared that this gave a woman the right to decide what to do with her own body. Well, more specifically, he argued that a doctor and his patient have the right to privacy so that he can decide what to do with her body.
I guess in that case, Cameron might be right. And freedom of interpretation could be what makes the Constitution a great document. Like Heidi says, it's a negative rights document. And negative rights protect us from the government taking our stuff, locking us up, killing us, like she told us. And I think by defining what can't be taken from us instead of trying to encapsulate everything given to us, the Constitution gives us more leverage to argue for rights that aren't explicitly stated.
Yeah, I like Heidi's interpretation. She says that maybe instead we could start thinking of the Constitution as a kind of mother whose job it is to look out for the most vulnerable among us. Maybe the interpretation is what allows our individual empathy to take over, so we can make the changes and help the people that the system overlooks by default.
I agree, and in that, the document gives us a really unique sort of life guide. Even though it's primarily a negative rights document meant to protect us from our government's absolute power, we have what we may we have what may be the most important positive right, the ballot. And that, despite what we've been led to believe, can truly be our most powerful tool in reshaping our society to fit the needs of the many.
Yeah. You guys want to go get some food?
Yeah, let's do it.
I bet. Shots on me.